Is the microphone on?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks, sweetheart. Have
Bye.
fun. Buy me something nice.
I'm literally gonna go blow dry my hair.
Okay.
Not buying you nothing.
That's, yeah, and you never do.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Hello everyone, welcome to Film Fireside. Thank you for tuning in today. Gonna talk about a movie that dropped on Netflix this weekend, Trial of Chicago 7. I got a chance to watch it, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of an unpopular opinion of mine. I'm not the biggest Aaron Sorkin fan. I haven't seen anything of him where he's just like blown me away. Aaron Sorkin, for those of you who don't know, he is a writer. He's a film writer. He wrote and directed Trial of Chicago 7. So I was excited for this. I had been learning about this from like back last award season. I was trying to look ahead. I love award season. It's one of my favorite, it's one of my favorite things to enjoy and predict and watch the films, form an opinion on it, try and see who wins and even predict who wins. I'll be doing that on the channel for sure. Anywho, this has been in talks for next award season. So I've been kind of looking forward to this film coming out. Going into this film right off the bat, I was a little, again, it's Aaron Sorkin, like I said, so he's not like my favorite, but so I was just kind of like, all right, well, we'll see how it is. And the nature of the film, the subject matter of the film, considering recent events, was a little like, ugh, this may be hard to watch, you know? So I was kind of like prepping myself for some uncomfortable things to have to watch. The reason I was uncomfortable is just because I was scared of how relatable it would be to our current situation and to the events of the past few months, as far as like rioting and protests that were intended to be nonviolent becoming violent. And that's really been a topic of discussion on social media, and it's been it's a touchy subject is the point I'm making. And I was kind of like, oh, not ready. I don't know if I'm ready to just like dive into this and just be like, okay, sure, it's a movie, you know? So I went into it kind of like hesitantly, being like, okay, we'll see how it is. And all that to just explaining all that just to point out I was pleasantly surprised by this film. Aaron Sorkin is a great writer. Dialogue-wise, he's very, very good. And I think this film has a sense of honesty to it that when discussing these issues on social media, people just tend to ignore. Amazing, social media tends to not be honest and fair about issues. That's interesting.
Reality is bogus, lame, and whack.
So Aaron Sorkin approaches this film and the subject matter of this film with a lot of fairness, I think, for everyone. You know, I don't think that one person's the saint of the movie. I can definitely tell who's the protagonist and who's the antagonist, and I'm rooting for characters throughout the time. I'm rooting for, obviously, the main characters on trial throughout this process. However, they are fairly represented, I think. You know what I mean? Even Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, I like, and honestly, that's probably just because this person was this way in real life. I haven't done much historical research on the accuracy of this. I've heard some people say that it's not 100% accurate, which is to be expected of any film adaptation of a historic event. Of course, they're going to take their own liberties. That's how it works, and I never have a problem with that, really. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, he was one how I felt was a very fair, like, honest representation of a character, and I love his performance in this. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, his little side arc and story, is one that's very subtle and not much attention is given to it. But I think it adds this like element of flavor to the film that really helped the film take it up a notch, you know? So it's very, very good. Sacha Baron Cohen, it's amazing, this film. Him and Jeremy Strong have great chemistry. Their characters are so good. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. The other character who, again, this idea that this film was written very fair and honest, Eddie Redmayne's character, I think, represents so much of how like just people feel. He's a very honest representation of people. Or at least maybe even me. Sometimes I relate to his character a lot. And I love his little journey of maybe opening his mind a little more and coming to a place of understanding. He doesn't necessarily abandon his beliefs, I don't think, or even his ideas, but I think he understands more so now than he did at the beginning of the film, and it's really cool to watch that journey take place. And then on top of it all, it's a thrilling courtroom drama. There's just so much riveting about this and so much frustrating about the situation and the judges and the lawyers and how unfair this process was, which again, by the way, is based on a true story, and it is known as one of the most ridiculous court cases in history. There's a lot of shady things that go on during this courtroom case, and I won't spoil it for you. While the writing is really good, the dialogue is really good, there's a lot of like weird just jokes in there that I was like,
Stop it!
that was really cheap and unearned. And it kind of made me just be like, literally, that was my reaction to that. Literally, there's a scene. So 2 of the characters that are on trial definitely shouldn't have been there. I mean, none of them should have been there. And as they're sitting there in court, one of them leans over to the other and it's like, you know why we're here? Other guy, been asking myself that for a long time now. Like, I wish I was exaggerating, but like, it's that bad. It's really bad. And again, that may have just been the acting. It may have just been the way these actors portrayed that. The writing itself isn't terrible in that moment. It just was cheap. And there's a few of those sprinkled throughout. Now, as far as the technical elements of the film go, I would say this is just a powerhouse of like editing. This is probably my pick for best edited film of the year as far as the award season coming up go. There is a scene probably near the end of the film that is just amazingly edited and is so just quick paced. Oh, it floats so well. And it's funny to watch that and be like, dang, the editing there is incredible, because it is. And it was a moment that depended on the editing. That's why I think it's worth noting. This moment wouldn't have been as effective if the editing wasn't just like on point, and it was. The entire ensemble showed up. It really showed up and gave powerhouse performances. And I mean from everyone. There's a danger in films like this where the people who are the obvious bad guys, especially in a political drama, where there are people who are the obvious like bad guys of the story who we disagree with. They're represented as like these like really cheesy villains. And what's funny about that is I think like looking at it at face value, you could say that, but the context and the truthfulness that's brought to that makes it so they don't, the villain of the story isn't very cartoonish, and we are just frustrated by him, as is everyone else. The actor portraying this guy, and I don't want to really say who he is because I think there's a lot of people could be the villain that you would think, and there are, I guess, maybe a few villains in this movie. He specifically really contributed to this film in a beautiful way, and I really appreciate his performance for that. It would have been very easy to just be cheesy about it, and he wasn't. And again, looking at it at face value, I think if I took some of those scenes out of the context of what was going on, maybe I could be like, okay, yeah, what an evil, mean, gross person. That's not very realistic. However, I think that probably was kind of realistic with what actually happened. So his truth he brought to those moments are really, really good and contributed very, very nicely. Point being, the ensemble of this was incredible. Having seen the movie, here's my guess of the awards this probably will and could be nominated for. So 1, Best Picture. Best Writing, Sacha Baron Cohen and/or Eddie Redmayne. Best Editing as well, and maybe cinematography. I'll throw in costumes as well, as a maybe. Those are my predictions for that right now. My score of Trial of Chicago 7, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Wow! This is a film I could see like in a couple of days after having thought about it more and really considered everything, being like, oh no, like I like that film a lot more than I initially like said I did. So if I change my score of it, I'll let you know, probably. Thank you so much for watching. Comment on this video, like this video, it helps support the channel, and subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye. I don't know why I did it different than I usually do.